So that's where we were for that. Now, once you get your Seek posted, where quite a few of you are, and couple people, thank you, have been emailing me this morning saying what's next, and so this is why this video is prepared here. Now you're coming into tool explorations and journal. So from pretty much now on throughout the course, this is your focus as well as your final project. So it gets to be a pattern now. It'll be easier for you now to understand. So in your tool explorations, again, you don't have to take them 1 through 10. There's no order in which to take these. There will be approximately 17 tool explorations posted up. And a couple of these will remain blank because we didn't have people enough to take them. That's okay. But what I want you to do is to decide. So we were looking at tool exploration 5 with the iPad. So let's pretend, or the Seek, we were looking at Seek 5. So let's pretend that we were going to, we've already reviewed that information, and maybe we want to come in here and do our assignment where I'm going to come in and I can read this general direction that says tool explorations are to be added to journal responses. I've hidden the discussion thread. That caused some confusion there. Tool explorations are to be added as journal responses by either hyperlinking or attaching your completed tool exploration document. So you're going to attach a document of your tool exploration. You will also hyperlink your created example. And again, that's a timed thing. You may or may not get to finish that creative example. And then finally, in your initial reply to this entry, provide the research-based narrative as described in the attached rubric. To find that rubric, you scroll over to the right over here. You come on down and you'll see journal grade. You'll see view rubric, right? Notice later on there'll be a graded date, a feedback if there is any feedback, major feedback, so that you can keep up with your grades. I'm going to try to keep the grade book up in this course in this Blackboard this time. We'll see if there's any hiccups in it. So I'll go to View Rubric. In this rubric for your tool explorations, it's the same rubric for every tool exploration. So you will see research-based reflective evidence. What I'm looking for in the proficiency area is I'm looking for a Rheingold paragraph. In that paragraph, I want you to take those 5 social media literacies and reflect upon them in terms of your tool that you developed in the short time you had. And again, you're not going to be able to develop it as fully as you'd like. So talk about what you did do, and then maybe talk about what you would do if you had more time to complete it, or what you could see, how you could see that tool being impacted by those 5 social media literacies in the future in any kind of learning environment. You'll also include 2 to 3 paragraphs from the Seek article resources cited by your peers. Sources given by your peers, and you're going to cite and reference that well in those 2 to 3 paragraphs, okay? So they gave you, you may just choose one article, that's okay, but you're going to cite it and talk about what you read in that article in comparison to how you envision this tool being used in learning environments. That could be a possibility. You'll maybe cite the articles in terms of defending your tool exploration concept and how you applied that tool, or how you could see that being furthered into your final project. That would be great too. I'd love to see these reflections reflect forward into the planning of your final project as well in relation to that tool that you were exploring. Okay? All of it ties together, trying to lead into a really well composed and research-based final project. So in here I say specific implementation ideas expressed and reflected upon with depth. What would you do in a learning environment, training or K-12? Research reflection obvious before the tool exploration trial. So I want you to read and reflect even before you try the tool out, because I want to see those tool explorations with some depth of thought behind them, not just playing around with tools. And then I put in some other tips when you read my rubrics. It says citations, references, or reflection could have shown deeper thought and or more specific implications for the competence section. And we are all going to shoot for proficient, so we'll focus up there. The second category in your tool explorations is tool exploration evidence. So in here I'm looking for research-based implementation. Again, that ties back to your reading. That your tool features were thoroughly explored and tried. Tool features means that you go in and you take a look at what's under the menus. You take a look at what icons are given to you. For example, when you go to replying this journal entry, you will see that you can hyperlink your document to it. You'll see that you could add a mashup, like a YouTube movie or something like that. Those of you, Jessica's already been doing quite a bit of that. I've seen where she's posted up some YouTube movies and then referenced them in her what she's writing, either by linking to it, or if you can add the mashup right into your reflection, which you can do. There's an icon in there for that. Just mouse over and look, explore those icons. That's part of tool features. You look in the menus, you explore the icons, and you think, what could I do with that? And then feel free to embellish your journals appropriately. And as you watch other people enter their journals, think about how did they do that. If you can't figure it out, feel free to email them and say, how did you get that video inside your journal? And they'll remind you to go look at the mashup tool probably. Okay, so other tool features reflected in the narrative reflection. So maybe you didn't get to try all the tool features in your little short hour of playing around with that tool, but you can at least talk about it in your narrative reflection. That would be good. So tool features, I want to see that you're thinking out of the box with what's given to you. Think about how to use those features and those tools. Okay, peer journal review. So after you have put forth your energy in those couple of hours of research-based reflective evidence and reading and planning, and then tool exploration evidence, again an hour, including the reflection. After you're done with that 2 hours, then this peer journal review should only take you 10 minutes. Beyond that, I would guess, because what you're really doing here is just going in and finding 2 deeply reflective response entries to peer journals. So I'm going to be looking for that. Did you get into the journals on Blackboard here and read other people's stuff, other people's reflections, and did you respond to them deeply? By deeply, I mean take a look at what you read versus what they read for research articles. Try to embellish, try to add to, try to debate, try to critique. Get in some decent conversation, pull in some cited references if you can. I want to see a lot of good discussion there. And it only has to be a paragraph or so. I'm not talking research paper here. I'm just talking a decent paragraph that you can give a peer. What else did I put here? Respect the desire for everyone to have at least 2 peer reflective comments to their journal entries. I don't want one person getting all the comments just because they posted first, for example. Try to do a good job of respecting if someone else already has 2 peers who responded to their journal, try to move on and find someone else who hasn't had 2 peers respond to their journal yet, and give them a good response. Now once you get the 2 main ones done, then you can feel free to go back and respond to the others that maybe you were interested in reading, but you don't have to respond in as much depth, okay? Or you can just look at them, that's okay too. And then I have in here reference your readings you read in comparison to theirs and or practical implication ideas spurred from their creation. Practical implication ideas, that means what creative ideas can you think of in the classroom or maybe in your reading and reviewing of the Seek resources. Maybe you saw some websites that had some really good ideas. Go ahead and hyperlink those websites in your reflection, in your comment. And as I say that, I'm thinking that maybe when you comment to these blogs or comment to these journals, I think they restrict your comments to your peers where maybe you can't have the tools. So you may have to copy and paste that URL in. You could do that. And if you really want to shorten up a URL, use a URL shortener, such as tinyurl or a bit.ly.com is a URL shortener. They're easy to use once you type in those URLs and take a look at them. Okay, so that's about the rubric, taking a look at that so you know what it's all about. So I'm assuming you can print that rubric out or in the very least copy paste it. And then when you go to reply, you've done your tool exploration, you've followed the rubric, you've used the Seek, in this case Seek 5, mobile learning, and you're ready to create your journal entry. You click on Create Journal Entry, and this is what it looks like. So in here, give it a creative title. Notice you can save the entry as draft if you're not done. That's kind of nice. But again, tool features, for example, in here, I'm talking about, in the grading part, I'm talking about tool features that you explored in the tool of choice for that tool exploration. But even in the journal entry here, we have tool features we can check out. So in here's where I can attach my file. Here I can attach an image. What else did I tell you had to do? Jess has been including those YouTube movies. That's under mashups here. where she goes to YouTube video, maybe. That was more of a search one, I think. But audio content, if you have it saved, that's fine. So there's things you can play with there in your journal response. Feel free to be creative in it. I gave you guidelines before about including at least a hyperlink. So in here, if you're typing along in your journal response and you want to link a word or a phrase, you can double or triple click for a word or a sentence. Come to the hyperlink icon. Notice as I mouse over, they tell me what they are. Then when I click, I choose what type do I want to do. Most of the time I'm doing an HTTP, a web link. So I'd wipe that out and I'd hit Apple V or Control V for paste. And there's, oh, I got Franwi's something in there. So then you could go ahead and paste in the URL that you had there. And you can decide. It's usually nice to open the link in a new window so that it doesn't jar, doesn't disrupt the journal entry reading. So that'd be kind of nice. And then just hit submit. So that's how you do the hyperlink. And similar, just explore with the tools to create some creative journal entries. But again, do read the expectations of what you have to have, which is right here. This is what you have to have in your journal entry on an overview. And then again, you read the rubric to get the detail of how, what caliber of expectation I have for how you're going to interact with those. So at that point, you're good. So now you know where to go find the extended completion schedule. You know where to post your wiki content pages, where you actually first post them. And again, everybody can edit these, so be careful. Come in and find your number, and then you will come in here and edit wiki content. I didn't point that out before. So when you're posting your Seek pages, go to edit, don't create a wiki page yet, but go to edit wiki content. And now you can see Seek 4 in this case, and you can give it the title that it needs to have, and then you can paste in your Seek information from your Word doc and check your links, and then when you're done, I think you come down here to submit, and you click submit. And that's how you get your Seek up, like some of the others already have their Seeks up. And then once your Seek's up, you know to come over here to the right and to start clicking on those that are finished to do your tool explorations. And again, the tool explorations, you're going to pick 10 over the course of the course. And I would suggest you start off with things like blogs and web pages and maybe even collaborative docs, podcasting, there's web page, and maybe digital storytelling, maybe even web conference. The ones I've just listed, rattled off, are the ones that I would possibly look into as what I call the main vehicle, main delivery vehicle, because remember, you're supposed to have 3 tools in your final project, and you're going to have a main vehicle with 2 tools interspersed with it. So that's just what I would suggest the ones I would suggest to look at first to decide what's my main tool. Okay, with that, you're ready to go. Let the emails fly if any of this didn't make sense, because I'm trying to be good with you guys. I backed off on the number of tool explorations expected because we got a rocky start due to the flipping of the Blackboard, and I felt good that one of our lead instructional designers with years of experience and just coming from another higher ed institution where she was one of 20 instructional designers was scratching her head right along with me. And then I started sharing with her what I wanted to do in terms of these wikis and the journals, and she says, well, you're getting beyond me a little bit there. So we're getting to explore some tools in ways that maybe people don't normally use them, but they're there. We're going to try it out, just like I'm encouraging you guys to do. The tools are out there. Try them out. See what happens. So I appreciate your patience on that, and I guarantee you're going to have a better experience out of it. So I think at this point you're ready to settle in and be able to be very productive and have fun exploring. Thank you.